Alright, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? My name is Dananu, and with this video here, we're going to be talking about the Harley Quinn movie. And I just recently saw it last week. Meant to get this video out a few days ago, but I just want to make a short video just talking about it and explain, in my personal opinion, where I think WB went wrong with this movie. And the first thing is, it shouldn't have been called Birds of Prey. That's number one. This movie, as somebody who knows who the Birds of Prey are, this was not that. You know, now granted, this movie's not made for me. It's made for the general movie-going audience, and I just think they fucked up. Just being real with you guys. I think this movie should have been a Harley Quinn movie, just first and foremost. If that's what you want to make, then make a Harley Quinn movie, you know, or make a Birds of Prey movie. You can't do both. You know, Harley Quinn was never a part of the Birds of Prey, and by calling it Birds of Prey, nobody knows who that is if you're just basing your movie going experience just on a title. If they'd have called this Harley Quinn and the Emancipation of the Joker or something like that, you know, it would have been better. Or hell, if they'd have just called it Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, it would have been better. Or just Harley Quinn. Why not just Harley Quinn? You know, make a Harley movie, and then if you wanted to, let's say, later do a Birds of Prey movie, I think they should have, and I'm gonna keep saying this, but I think they should have at least done what Marvel did, and let's say make a Harley Quinn movie first and foremost, and then if you want to show the other Birds of Prey, let's say if you really want to make that movie, have them be in Harley Quinn, but as like side characters or people she has to interact with at least a little bit, so that the audience knows who they are. That way in the next movie, when you make a Birds of Prey movie, you're like, oh, okay, I know who those characters are. But honestly, that's, I feel, the weakest part of the movie is the Birds of Prey. They're not the Birds of Prey. Like Black Canary, I thought she was cool, but again, don't look nothing like her character does in the comic books. You know, they didn't really explain her backstory at all. She's just a metahuman, and hell, they don't even mention that she's metahuman. You know, they had one throwaway line where it's like, oh, what you and your mom can do. And I was with somebody, and they turned and looked at me and was like, what the hell do they mean by that? Because they never set it up. They never actually said she had superpowers until they showed her having superpowers. And I had to, you know, to look at the girl who I went with and explain, like, oh, she's metahuman. She has superpowers. You know, I had to actually explain that to him. Again, like, if you're gonna have these characters in your movies, and I don't understand why Hollywood does this. It's like, I swear to God, it just boggles my mind. I feel like they have a hat that they pass around when they decide, okay, let's make a Harley Quinn movie. Who are the side characters gonna be, or who are the other Birds of Prey gonna be? I don't know. Let's get our magic hat, and they just put a bunch of names in a hat and just randomly just pull out a name. And like one of those names was Cassandra Cain. Cassandra Cain was like one of the actual Batgirls. You know, if I remember right, she was the one who was mute, who was Batgirl during No Man's Land, the badass one. The one who would kick ass and just and take names. you know, because she didn't speak, she had to show all of her actions with what she did. She was the Batgirl who basically took over Batman's position during No Man's Land when Batman wasn't there, and when you know, Gotham got isolated. But in this, it's like she's not even a fighter. She's not even a Batgirl. She's not a fighter. She don't know how to do nothing. She's just a random generic Asian chubby thief girl. And I have no problems with that. The main problem is that's not Cassandra Cain. Like, just call her something different. Like, call her Debbie. That's it. That's all they have to do is like just give her a regular name. That's all you had to do. It's just like stupid as hell. Outside of that, you bring in Renee Montoya. Okay, cool. They think they brought back the woman who was in I remember her from White Men Can't Jump. She was Woody Harrelson's girlfriend in that, and I have no problems with her acting the role, you know, as like the spunky Hispanic lady. I mean, that's cool, but if you gonna have, well, I guess my biggest problem with that is like my manhood is like, man, like Renee Montoya was hot in that in Batman the animated series and the cartoon and the comic books and stuff, and I don't want to throw shade at the one lady, but I mean she's cool, but she's like in her mid-40s. So it's just like you see all these other young actresses in the movie, and then you got this one old outlier. You know, it just didn't rub me the right way, so to speak. But outside of that, I mean, I thought it was fine. Out of all of the Birds of Prey characters, if I had to count the three, her and probably Black Canary have the more screen time, and hers kind of goes in with the plot a little bit more than, the Black Canary. Black Canary was like, oh, look, she works for Black Mask, but she's like a bodyguard, essentially, or gets reluctantly being chosen as a bodyguard, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I'll touch on that later with Black Mask. But Montoya's character, she's trying to put together a case for Black Mask, well, against Black Mask rather, and she's like the one honest cop in Gotham. So none of the other cops, are really trying to help her. They take the credit for what she does, things like that. And it's plausible. It makes sense when you compare it in the movie. Something else that I want to mention too is that the Harley Quinn movie, since it takes place in Gotham, but the city doesn't feel like Gotham to me. When you compare it to, let's say, the other Batman movies, and I know I shouldn't be doing that. It's its own thing, but when you compare it to, let's say, the Gotham that it came from, because they did show Gotham in Suicide Squad and then Batman v Superman and stuff like that a little bit. But when you have Gotham, like the whole movie they shot Harley Quinn was like Gotham was like in the daytime most of the time. And the cops weren't as corrupt, it was like they was just shitty cops, but they weren't corrupt shitty cops. Like Gotham is like shit, 9 times out of 10 in DC comic books. Gotham is like the, outside of like maybe like one or two other cities like Bloodhaven, and I think there's another one somewhere in DC too, but usually Gotham is like the seedier, criminal infested, shitty town that nobody wants to live in except Gothamites. That's usually what it is. But in this, when you're watching the Harley Quinn movie, it just feels like they shot the movie in like New York or something, where it's you don't see a lot of the streets and the skyscrapers, but like it doesn't feel seedy. It's not Gotham, it's just like they filmed the movie in like I'm not from New York, so I can't really describe it, but when you watch movies and they show New York and they show like the immigrant area where you have a bunch of shops and food stalls and that kind of sort of thing, that's what they shot in Gotham, outside of like the Ace Chemical plant, Joker's Funhouse at the end, and the police station. So it's like, that's what it kind of feels like. It doesn't look or feel like Gotham, it just feels like a slum or like a immigrant part of New York, and maybe most people probably won't care, or they won't think that far of it, but being as somebody who knows the source material, it just rubs me the wrong way again. It's because it just doesn't feel like Gotham to me, and they're saying it's Gotham, it's supposed to be Gotham, but it just doesn't feel like it. And maybe that's because they didn't want to tie it to anything else, but like you have it's weird because when you have DC Comics, right, Gotham is known for one thing: fucking Batman. 9 times out of 10, criminals can't do shit in Gotham without Batman knowing about it. So you can't have all of this criminal activity and not at least mention Batman somewhere, and that's what I feel like it's like they don't want to mention him because I guess they don't know what they're doing with Batman. But here's the thing: if it's a part of the same universe, Batman exists in this universe. You can't just have Gotham and be like, oh, he doesn't exist. I'm not saying you have to show him in the movie, or you have to, explain things about like, oh, where's Batman? Oh, Batman, we haven't seen him for a while. Like, they don't have to bullshit that in there. But what I'm saying is, you can have Black Mask say a couple lines that explains why he's never had to dealt with Batman. Let's say this is Black Mask before he became the comic book Black Mask, where he's the criminal mastermind that runs a part of Gotham and all that shit, right? Let's say this is him on the come up. So let's say, because part of the movie, or as far as the reason why he wants to kill Harley Quinn, is when she broke away from the Joker, she has all of these people that were mad at her, that wants to kill her, but they were afraid of the Joker's backlash if they did. So now that he's out of the picture, they can just come and kill her. So that's the whole point of the movie. And he wants to get something, and she cons her way into explaining that, oh, I can get that for you. So what they should have did is have a line or two said by Black Mask to be like, oh, well, you know, say something like, oh, since he's on the come up, he's below Batman's radar. Like, oh man, Batman only goes after big fish. I'm glad I don't have to deal with that, you know, rat with wings. Or say something like that. And then that explains, you're like, oh, okay, so that explains why Batman's not trying to take him down. Because he's small time. He's worried about the Joker or Mr. Freeze or all those other criminal mobs and stuff in Gotham that Black Mask is trying to get to. You know, he's trying to get on their level, but he's not there yet. So that would explain that. And that would explain why he can do all of this stuff in Gotham and not, you know, have the Batman try to come at him, or not have like Robin or Nightwing, if they're a part of this universe too, come at him. You know, it is what it is. All they needed was one sentence, but by them making this movie showing Gotham, and it's just like, okay, well, why isn't Batman coming to take out Black Mask if he's buying off all the cops, if he's doing all this shady stuff, cutting off people's faces and stuff? It's like, you would think, you know, do you think Batman would be interested? But no, don't explain anything. And as far as the Black Mask character, I'll get to the messages that the movie tries to portray before the end of this video here. But Black Mask as a character, as somebody who reads the comic books, I don't know a whole lot about his character, so I'm not gonna bullshit and lie about that. But I will say, I wish they would have went with the menacing gangster version of his character, like the one you saw in there was one of the animated movies that WB made where he got the Joker out of Arkham and Joker killed some of his people. I wish they'd have went with that version of Black Mask, the super menacing gangster criminal type guy. Instead, you had Ewan McGregor play him as like this eccentric, flamboyant, I'm assuming he's gay, but they don't really force that or mention that. But they have a whole vibe between him and, let's say, Victor Zsasz, who is a serial killer who cuts himself and stuff like that. They had like tons of gay moments in there that I guess you can either read one way, or read that they're gay, or read that they're not, since they don't ever really blatantly tell you like, oh, we're gay, we're together. You know, they don't come out and tell you. But it's one of those things where they were a little bit too close, you know. But that could just be just how they written the characters too. I'm assuming it's written because it's blatantly that they have those close moments in there. So I'm assuming they were written to be gay together, but they just never really fully mention it. And if that's the case, I don't mind. Like I said, it's just noticeable. You know, it is what it is. I don't like when movies throw messages down my throat. Like, we can see that he's gay. You don't have to come out there and just throw it down our throats. So like, just like I saw it with, you know, Black Mask in the movie, it's like, okay, I can see that he may be gay or he may not be gay. Let me determine that. You know, it wasn't a focal point and part of the story of the movie, you know. But outside of that, I thought he, you know, hammed it up in a lot of his scenes, and he played the part of, I guess, being deranged. Looked like he had some kind of anger issues and stuff like that. But he was real also like passive at the same time. Like he had like he made, like, I'm assuming he's bipolar in the movie, because one scenes he was like, oh, you know, let's kill this, or let me hurt somebody for laughing at me. But then you go to other scenes where it's like, oh, I don't like that, let me not do that. And he was like kind of prissy, like he was a bitch. So it's like he was like all over the place one scene, and then the other scene he be a completely different way. And I don't mind that so much, that if they would have explained that better, like let's say like if he was a bitch character without the mask, but when he put that mask on, he became like the complete opposite. I think that's what they were intending, but they didn't explain the mask very well. They just, they were just like, oh, here's this mask, I'm gonna put it on for the last fight scene. And it's like, that was it. Like, he didn't need to put the mask on, maybe there's a scene or two that they cut out where they explain the mask, but it was just one of the items in his little room that he collected. If he'd have had an explanation in there and been like, oh, when I put this mask on, I feel more complete, or it just fills me with confidence. Or let's say at the end of the movie, Harley Quinn and the other girls beat him down, and let's say he's like, okay, you beat me down like I'm the Joker, or I'm like one of you other costume freaks, I'm gonna become one of you costume freaks. And then that's why he puts on the mask and he builds the Black Mask persona. But he goes through like half the movie just calling himself Black Mask, but it's like he's not wearing a mask. It just feels weird. So maybe there's like a scene or two that they cut out, but the overall plot of the movie I thought was okay. I'm not expecting, super heavy writing of like the greatest caliber ever. Like, this is Harley Quinn we're talking about here. I'm judging from the trailers and judging from what I was seeing, I'm expecting this movie to be what it is. And it was like they were trying to make a Deadpool movie. In some ways, I think it worked. In other ways, I think it didn't work, because it's like, why does it have a rating R? Why does it have a rated R rating? It didn't really do anything. They had a couple scenes of gruesome deaths here and there, but like that was like twice throughout the whole movie. The rest of the movie was pretty tame. I grew up with rated R movies, so when I see that rated R, I'm expecting like, oh, so we're gonna get some RoboCop shit, where people are gonna get fucked up. That's what rated R is for, not to just show like, oh, we got some body parts that we just want to show real quick. Like, no, that's not rated R. That's PG-13. But one last thing I just wanted to get to here too is the fight scenes. They weren't good. Like, 2 fight scenes out of the movie were great. Like, the police station scene was real good, and I think one before that was pretty decent too. But like, everything else was garbage. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know. Maybe they had one person do the scenes for like for 2, and then somebody else did the other ones. Because I heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that the guy who the fight choreographer for John Wick did a couple fight scenes. So maybe he did the really good ones, and all the other ones were shit. Maybe that's what's going on with it. And it's just, I just don't think that, I mean, if you're gonna have good fight scenes, or if you want to have, good stuff in there, have like the good person direct the meaningful fight scenes. Like, do the police station and then the end fight scene, your climactic moment in the movie. Whereas the end fight scene in Harley Quinn is just garbage. It's them jumping around a fun house, doing a bunch of dumb shit. It reminded me of like the Adam West Batman show from back in the day, where like, oh, let's just people stand around punching each other in a room, staging punches and standing around waiting to get hit. That's what it feels like. And it's like, that's cool, like if that's what you're going for, but like, we're like 60 years past that, YouTube. This is unless this whole movie was dedicated to just campiness or to facilitate that, then I could be like, oh, okay, you know what, it is what it is. Kind of like Black Dynamite. I could watch that and be like, okay, well, that's campy as shit too, because that's the point of the movie. But it's like, this is trying to make a modern movie, but then you have this one campy fight scene in there. It's like, come on, man, it just doesn't work. It doesn't fit. It feels disjointed, and it definitely showed. Like, you had moments in this movie that did not make sense. Like at the end of towards the ending of the movie, you had Harley Quinn riding on the back of, or she's on roller skates holding on to the back of the Huntress's motorcycle. And they're trying to catch Black Mask, who has Cassandra Cain in the car. They're driving away, they're chasing her. Harley Quinn's holding onto the motorcycle wearing roller skates, and they're just going chasing after him. And to get more speed so she can catch up to the car, she tells Huntress to whip her. So Huntress swerves the bike, just nosedives the fucking bike into the ground, and that somehow gives Harley Quinn more speed on her roller skates to catch up to Black Mask's car, when the Huntress is in a fucking sports bike that can just dust that car anytime she wants. You know, it's and that was the first thing I thought of. I was like, why'd she crash? Like if she crashes the bike, it's not like she does a cool spin move or something and stay on the bike. No, she just swerves that bike. She like she tries to do like an Akira, fucking slide and fucks up and just eats the pavement hard, just so Harley can get to the car, when she could have just drove up next to the car and Harley could have grabbed it. Feels weird, YouTube. It definitely does. Maybe it's one of those things where it's like, it sounds good on paper, but then when you think about it, it's stupid. But maybe they had another reason where it's like, okay, well, Harley Quinn's the point of the movie, so she has to be the one at the end of the movie with the bad guy, but if that's the case, write your movie better, but I don't know. I'm not a person who makes movie. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It's definitely no Batman v Superman. It's definitely no Justice League. It's damn sure not no Suicide Squad. It's an entertaining movie, but it's one of those movies where it's like, it's average, terribly average. It's not gonna change the world. It's not gonna, I wouldn't expect nothing of it. It's definitely not no Joker movie. Although I wish he was fucking in it, even if it was Jared Leto's Joker, like they have a whole scene about her breaking up with the Joker in the beginning of the movie, but it's like they don't ever show him. So it's like, what's the point? At least have some guy pretend to be Jared Leto Joker, only show him from the back or some shit. But no, like they didn't even do that. He was mentioned only, and that was it. So that kind of felt weird too. It's like, if you're gonna do it, then do it. Show something, plan it out, make the shit better. But I don't know. It didn't feel rushed, but maybe it had a rush production, so that's maybe why they cut corners. But it does feel a little bit just disjointed, like I said. But it is entertaining. I'm not gonna go in there and be like, oh, I hated the movie, or it wasn't what I expected. No, it's exactly what I expected. It mildly entertained me, but that's only because I'm a fan of the comic book characters and the comic book universes and stuff. If I wasn't a fan of that going to see Harley Quinn, then yeah, this movie, it's not even that funny. It's like, I nitpick the movie, like when she had the hyena, I'm like, where's the other one? I nitpick a lot because it's like, I know all of this shit, because, I've been, reading and watching this shit for like damn near 30 plus years, but I don't know how somebody who isn't into the comic books would watch this movie though. Maybe that's why it's not making no money. Apparently this movie is bombing all to hell. They didn't market it right. Like I have no idea why they decided to market it as Birds of Prey. Whoever thought of that is probably fired right now, because that alone was a stupid decision. But I don't know. Anyways, fellas, let me stop rambling. It's been 23 minutes and 28 seconds. So we're gonna let this go, and if you guys want to hear me talk about any other movie that's currently going out, I know I'm probably gonna do a video talking about Ford versus Ferrari, since I just got finished watching that as well. Extremely late with that one, but that was a damn good movie, so I may talk about that one too. I don't know yet. But anyways, fellas, let me get off this mic here. My name is Denanu, and I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Peace out.